Okay, and we're going to talk about the bad boys. And meanwhile, we're bringing on probably the smartest bad boy I know, Thomas Guerriero, CEO right here of Oxford. He's joining us online and here right on the show on 740. It's good to see you, Thomas. You're looking smart.
Thank you very much.
Always a lot of things happening here at Oxford. He's the man. He's the one who makes it happen. And he doesn't have credentials, okay? He doesn't have credentials. This guy should be the president of the United States, and that's the truth, all right? You know, again, Harvard graduate. I can't even drive past Harvard. They throw a brick at me when I get one. It's like a no-fly zone in Korea for birds. That's what it's like, a no-mix zone up there. Graduate of Harvard. He's been a diplomatic advisor. He's an economics professor over at Harvard. Just my friends.
Well, not at Harvard, at the Oxford City University over here.
Okay. And we are going to build, you're in the process now of building a university over here.
Yep, right down here in South Florida. We're looking to build our U.S. campus, and a lot of exciting things on the horizon here.
I know you've already got some sort of a deal worked out with enrollment and people let's put it this way, passively, a lot of interest.
Very much so, and it looks very promising, and obviously a catalyst to what we're trying to do. You have to have that young foundation, people coming through with great ideas to be the future of the company. But pretty much with you on board and having a lot of people that are in the mix, there's a lot of exciting things in the very near future as well as the long term. But the university is something that we're very, very excited about, and that's why our U.S. headquarters is based here in South Florida, because that's where the university is going to be.
There's quite a few things going on. I caught it all weekend. They are building in Miramar 2 universities right now. It's a spinoff from FAU and FIU. Okay, 2 new universities, and they're already full. 1,200 enrollment in one, 1,700 in the other. They'll be done, I believe next fall. They're scheduled to open for the fall semester. So there's definitely a market right here in South Florida. I mean, this is like so many colleges here in Florida. And it's a great place to send your kids to school, let's face it.
For sure.
And you're involved over in England also in Oxford. You know, a little bit about Oxford City, and I told you the symbol is OXFC. Okay, they're on the bulletin board, and right now we're looking toward, from what I understand, and the limited information I got, we're talking about the NYSE, and your background is in NYSE. You were the youngest CEO of an NYSE company.
Well, in regards to, that's obviously the pinnacle of where we want to get to, and every day we work one step closer to getting there. We have the largest publicly traded diversified portfolio of professional sports teams in the world. We also have the university as well as the broadcast network and all these other incubator companies that are coming through our university to eventually become divisions of our company. So we are as diversified as you could get, across a wide spectrum and a plethora of industries, which makes it a very unique situation. We don't want to be pretty much set in a box to basically be uniform to one industry. We want to be agile and flexible to adapt and change with the ever-changing market that's out there.
Right, and the way I look at it is that the industry, every industry that you have feeds off each other. So you basically keep everything in and you just keep rotating. Like the broadcast industry would promote the university. We're going to have a broadcast college where I guess, there are several good broadcasting schools out there, and we're going to have on-the-job training. You'll be able to come here right to the studio, and I'm sure you're going to have your own facilities built, and I think it's going to be a wonderful thing, especially with the great talent you have there where these young kids can learn from.
Most definitely, and we obviously are value investors. We're a holding company, so we don't specialize in just one thing. If anything, we are specialists in investments, so we're identifying value opportunities, but also, being diversified in the manner that we are, it doesn't limit us in the growth potential. So we're constantly looking for mergers, constantly looking for acquisitions to have a roll-up strategy, and the vertical integration model, which we're based, and the whole premise of Oxford City is on, is to allow for all the companies to interrelate and coexist, but also to feed off of each other to take it to the next level. And having the broadcast network obviously tied into the professional sports teams, which we own, and you have the university where you'll have a steady stream of students that come through that can get that firsthand experience. We don't want our students to go in, if they're studying sports management, to go in and just work in a ticket office for the Miami Heat in their internship.
There's a disappointment. I know where you go with that one.
We want them to obviously get that first-hand front office experience, whether they're in the investment firm, whether they're in the sports or entertainment industry. We really want them to have that hands-on experience, which obviously everyone, even myself, when I was a student, you want to get the experience firsthand, because a book could only take you so far, and usually the people that are educating you never really succeeded in business. They succeeded in academia in getting their degrees. Most of the professors and the people that are working closely with us are experts in their field, so they do bring that added value, and obviously allowing us to leverage off of their knowledge, experience, and giving the students of tomorrow the capability to be an impact player at Oxford City. And that's, you know, if you think about Google and how they have their business set up and structured, they're constantly looking for new innovation and technology. And just because we have that large portfolio of professional sports teams and universities, it doesn't mean that that's all that we're doing. We're constantly looking to do bigger and better things. You know, this weekend I was in North Carolina cutting a deal to potentially make an acquisition that could be in a completely different space. So we're not limited or have our blinders on just to one or two or three sectors. We're looking at what makes value sense for the company, what's going to help the bottom line over the long haul. And like I said in England on my last interview over there, in the other companies that I've had that have successes and we got acquired and we did phenomenal, we got acquired because I allowed them to be acquired. This company obviously is on the radar of a lot of people to potentially be getting acquired from what I hear, but I intend to be with this company.
Hold on to it,
I intend to be here for the next 30 years doing what I do.
And you want to, your Massachusetts basketball team won the NBA Junior Championship B team, right?
The NBA D-League. We won the Eastern Conference Championship 2 years ago.
Okay, yeah, I saw the trophy in the office. Quite impressive. And a little bit about Oxford, the city itself over in England. Now, that is one of the oldest, it is the oldest learning institution in the world, isn't it, Oxford University?
I believe if you go down to the catacombs on one of the towers that I went to on my last trip, that was one of the first meccas of education that was done in the catacombs underneath the former prison and the former castle of Oxford. But it is an academic mecca. You have some of the most brilliant minds in the world. The people on the ground there, and the reason why I chose to go there rather than the other teams and the other opportunities I had around the world was because of the people that were involved. You have Colin Taylor, who's the managing director, and you have people that are on the ground that have been there for many, many years doing phenomenal work in the community as well as on the business side. We have one of the biggest charities around that helps the children and really the whole entire community as a whole, from the basketball side all the way to the futsal or the football side. But overall, it was the people that made me make the decision, and it was also being in a cosmopolitan city like Oxford. They don't really judge.
146,000 some odd people in there, and just
in city center about 167,000, and then you have about 500,600,000 on Oxfordshire. But the key is they're very welcoming to outsiders, because you have a lot of foreign students, a lot of people that come from outside, open restaurants and businesses, and they were very welcoming to me. Obviously we work long days, get in very early and work very late, and the people over there on the other side of the pond do just the same as effort and put the same effort forward. So couldn't be as blessed as we are, but every day we leave it on the table, and we're looking to build on their foundation. They've been with the club and with the organization for many years now, some of them 40, 50 years. For me to come in and for them to be as welcoming as they are, I try extra hard to show with actions rather than words how committed I am to them and committed I am to the organization to make sure we succeed on every level. And we don't want to be so steadfast on just the athletics or the academic divisions or the other division. We really want to be a comprehensive approach and outlook on where we intend on taking this, and that's why our board of directors has some of the most diverse and powerful people in the world.
I noticed also, as far as sports memorabilia, you're involved, I guess it's Brandon Steiner Sports. It's the largest sports memorabilia in the world, on the planet, really.
Yeah, Brandon's on the advisory board. He's obviously sees some true value in what we're doing, as do the other people on the board and the advisory board. Basically, what we're trying to do is assemble the people that have succeeded in their industries at a level that is not common, at a level that people are entrepreneurs, think outside the box, and are able to execute at a very proficient and efficient methodology that's going to really integrate in what we're trying to do.
It's going to separate you from what's out there, and I see that already.
Exactly.
With everything you built around you, in the limited time I'm with you is about less than a month. But in a month, being in the market for 30 years as I am, I know what a winner looks like, and I've been there at the beginning with Hooters and Home Shopping Network, and I see what it takes to win, and it seems to me that you're on the ball over there. There's no doubt about it.
Most definitely.
I'm working with a lot of pros over there. You're on with the Mixter on 740, and we're talking to Thomas Guerriero, CEO and President of Oxford City Broadcasting, who makes it all possible. We're also joined here by Victoria Howard, accomplished writer, guru dating for the baby boom generation, the over 50 crowd. What is that about? I'll tell you, see, Thomas is a young man. He hasn't hit it yet. One day you blink, you're 40, next day you're 50, next day you're in a coffin. But the point is, it's a truism.
It goes quick.
And I'll tell you the truth, the over 50 crowd is really into it. And they're the crowd that really does the investing today. A lot of them, they're getting hammered today. The market is taking a complete dump. I mean, no one could really put their finger on it. Manufacturing, it could be this. And you're looking for a safe bet, check out OXFC. OXFC, and that's the Oxford City Football Club. Diversification seems to be the key today, in anything you do. You find that, Thomas, also?
Well, with the devaluation of the U.S. dollar and the way the government's over leveraging themselves, we've come to a resolution that we are diversified in a manner, not just in the industries that we're in, but also in hedging ourselves currency-wise and having representation on both sides of the pond. We don't want to be so focused. A lot of people look at their portfolio, and on a given year, they might be up 15, 16%, and they think that they're doing well because of the balance in their accounts increasing, but they don't realize that as the value of the U.S. dollar decreases and your cost of living increases, you're putting yourself in a position that really, if you don't make like 18%, you're not breaking even.
No,
so
that's scary.
It's a scary time, but when you have the people that have are visionaries, and the reason why we're compared to certain companies out there that have financial experts that lead the charge in those organizations, is because you have to have the foresight to think ahead of the curve and to understand. If we ran our household the way the government ran their bank book, obviously all of us would be on the street. The difference is we can't continually print paper like they can. We have to actually go to work and earn it.
And eventually that's got to stop also. 17 trillion and growing. We owe the Chinese just about every dollar. We're going to go to a break. We're going to come back with Thomas Guerriero. Come back again with Victoria Howard on the Mixter on 740 a.m. We're having a great time over here on the Oxford City Broadcasting Network. The baby is born today. First time in a long time, the Mixter feels pretty good about things. 4:05, 7:40 a.m. You're back with the Mixter, joined by Thomas Anthony Guerriero, CEO of the Oxford City Broadcasting Network and Oxford City OXFC. It's funny. Thomas. They've said it over and over again. They've compared you a lot with Berkshire Hathaway, and I know that to some people might be a stretch, but I'm not saying it. I'm only going by what's been written by people who are familiar with Berkshire Hathaway.
Exactly.
Give us a little bit about that. What do they see? What do they see? What do they see? And why? What would make them say something like that?
Well, I think in regards to the fact that my background is in the investment game, being on Wall Street for as long as I had and doing as well as we did, they basically looked at Warren Buffett in a similar light, that he was able to be a strategic value investor when he stepped in and built Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio.
Sure.
So the strategy of how we're building Oxford City and the portfolio that is Oxford City collectively is the same way. We're value investors. We're constantly looking for value opportunities. We're strategic in our methodology. The types of financial models are very similar in nature, that we obviously are looking for things that are going to positively reflect on the bottom line. But right now we're in an absolute growth mode. So the same financials that you would see in regards to PE and earnings per share, you may not see because of the amount of insiders taking equity interest in the companies, or the amount of money that's being contributed to the growth. But obviously we have strong outlook on the future of what we're doing. But the portfolio is not insurance. Like if you look at Berkshire Hathaway, it's very insurance focused. So exactly. Right. So you have companies of that nature that if that industry company was to have a complete collapse, obviously a company like Berkshire Hathaway may have some real problems. Our company is a little bit more diverse in many different ways, and we're hedged to accommodate for a market correction, which we think that there will be. We obviously, with the way the government's being run and with the way the market is trading and being as volatile as it has been, you're looking at it from the perspective that you have to hedge yourself. We're the only industry in the world that when you first go out and you buy a house or a car, you get insurance. That's the first thing you do. For the market, people don't even think about hedging their life savings, right, and they go out and they wind up losing it if they're utilizing margin or leveraging in commodities, precious metals, or whatever.
Oh, forget it. It was suicide. Precious metals. They shut down the whole precious metals industry.
It's a Russian roulette game, basically, if you're using leverage of any kind. And I say work within your means. If you can't afford it, don't go in and don't do it. And that's really the mindset of our corporation, that our company operates in every single division we have. If you can't afford it, obviously go out, look for opportunities that are going to generate the revenue necessary to step in, make that acquisition, or utilize a roll-up strategy using equity to take advantage of opportunities. But the fact that we don't have large bank loans and things of that nature that really,
debt-free,
and looking in terms of how companies get handcuffed in many ways by over-leveraging themselves, we don't have that worry.
It's funny, you talk about being the largest owner of professional sports teams in the world.
Well, we're the largest publicly traded portfolio of professional sports teams from what people have said. In the big picture, obviously we're looking to grow that. We're not looking to stay where we are. We're constantly looking to move upward and onward and build on that portfolio, because obviously as a sponsor, when you sit down with them, it's a lot more practical if you could present them 4 or 5 different teams rather than just bring in one, because right, their demographic may be an all-the-year type of opportunity, and if a sport only plays a couple of months out of the year, you want to be able to coexist and work with them throughout the entire 12 months. Then you could start to have that baseline revenue stream, and that's really what we're looking to capitalize.
Everything. Stadium revenue, advertising revenue, and the NFL. They played 1 game over in England a couple of years ago. They went to 2 games, and next year they're playing 3 games, and they're already sold out. And if you follow rugby as I do, you follow rules football, you follow soccer over in the UK, you'll see that these games are completely sold out. It's regional. And the whole city turns out for these games. It's not like you have empty seats anywhere either.
Well, it's in their blood, so it's a little bit different than here. There's been studies at Harvard and other places, from what I've read, that the production, their whole entire town goes down 30%, 40% when their team loses in that given week. I could see firsthand how the emotion gets involved when you're so fully vested in a team or an organization or a club. But the key is we're doing something very, very unique. One of the wealthiest and oldest cities in the world, we're gradually taking market share in every way, shape, or form, not just on the professional sports aspect, but also in many different avenues, and that's the exciting part about it. Anytime you have a major city like New York City, Oxford, Miami, one of these cities that you could come in and really make an impact and a splash the way we have in such a short period of time, it really shows what the future is going to bring.
Well, the future certainly looks bright, as far as, our involvement here at the Broadcasting Network. You have so many diversified avenues, and each one of these avenues seems to be getting better every day. It's almost like perfection. I'm looking forward for the day when we get into the broadcasting end of it, because broadcasting today is far exceeded anything. There are so many avenues for new people beginning, not only broadcasting live on the web, where great people, one of the highest paid and one of the best broadcasters in the United States, Sid Rosenberg, began on the web on CBS.com. And then later on with IMUS, WFAN in New York, and over here on 640. But there are so many. There are statisticians. There are people in the booth like Kenny over here, who Joe had left, and now Kenny's over here, and I worked with Kenny on and off for over 10 years. There are so many diversified avenues of expertise that are needed in broadcasting today, because you got 300 TV stations, you got 1,000 websites just in South Florida geared toward broadcasting, and there's a wonderful career in it. And now with college and high school football actually being in basketball on TV, play-by-play announcers, statisticians, engineers, camera people, all those things here, attribute to people going to go out and make a great living, not to mention the writers and so on and such. but the industry itself is growing by leaps and bounds. It's only a wonder where it's going to be 5 years from today.
It's all about educating them the right way. If they have experts like you that are in the field, that have been in the field for some time, and they're getting educated by those individuals, that's the whole premise of the university. That's what we're looking to do. You know, we're being specialists, kind of off of the hybrid model of the U.S. and the U.K. So you have the best experts in the chosen field, but also get that practical experience. If you are an attorney in the U.K., you go to a 4-year degree, you get your LLB, which gives you the opportunity to become a solicitor, and you work for a law firm for 2 years, 3 years, and you get that practical experience before moving on and being an attorney. Same thing in Australia. We're the only country in the world where you pass a licensing exams to be a CPA or to be a real estate broker or to be an investment professional, and all of a sudden you're an expert. You know, the key is to educate people with that practical experience so that when they have that first-hand know-how and how to, obviously what the books don't teach you, you know, it's about 95% on-the-job training and 5% what you learn in the books, because what you learn in school gets you a piece of paper on the wall. What you learn in the real world gets you paper in your pocket.
That sounds good. 888-721-0074, 888-721-0074. We're on with Thomas Guerriero, CEO of Oxford City Broadcasting and the Oxford City Football Network, along with Victoria Howard, an accomplished writer on dating, over 50 years old, baby boomers. She's written many books, and she's even writing a book now about the glory days of Roosevelt Raceway on Long Island, back before Carmine Abatello came out and said he fixed 1,000 races.
I know.
I mean, it's unbelievable. You know, you come from Staten Island. Back in the day, Roosevelt and Yonkers, these guys actually in the stretch used to put their foot out in the sulky and try and stop the horses. I mean, it was amazing when you think about the I guess you could say what they did back in the day. But Abatello came out and he wrote that he basically published it, that he fixed 1,000 races, and then he wonders why he's not in the Hall of Fame for hardest racing.
You're right.
Unbelievable. 888-721-0074. We're having a good time over here on 740 AM. Great to be back on the air, and Kenny's joined us in the booth now. Okay, long time, I guess you could say cohort. He's been a producer on my show for many, many years, and it's nice to see him again. Getting back to Oxford City, let me ask you something. To go and become a New York Stock Exchange company, are there certain criteria that you have to go ahead and you have to address? You basically get invited there. Am I correct in that assumption?
Well, no, you file to become a New York Stock Exchange company, and obviously that's the process that we're in right now, is to get everything, all our ducks in a row, to make sure that that effort is a very streamlined process to get there. We have no doubt that we're going to be there, and we're taking the steps necessary. The people that we've aligned ourselves with to obviously take that next step are experts in that field and moving companies to that level, and we're not looking to do anything just to go through the motions. Like I said, our goal is to be at the pinnacle of the investment world, as well as the pinnacle of every industry that we step foot in. We use that vertical integration model that each one of our divisions allows growth off of the next. So it basically allows that piggyback effect that, you know, collectively, kind of like Transformers, we're stronger than off on its own. So it gives us that ability to really take it to the next step, and we're excited. The New York Stock Exchange is definitely a place that's going to be just another added avenue for us to access research, access individuals, access opportunities, and also have people take more of a serious look at us as a potential investment. A lot of people just never heard of us, and that's the key. The key has, you know, most quality stuff, they don't need to hire investor relations firms or promoters to get the word out, because they're doing it the right way, the grassroots way, building it from the ground floor up, and that's really what we do. We don't really, we don't retain investor relations firms. We don't retain these networking agencies to go out and spread the word. There's no need, because at the bottom line is when people see who's involved and the management team that's in place, and you have the Henry Boniakinas of the world, you have Saeed Jalanis of the world, you have these individuals that are obviously world-renowned and experts in their field. It really puts us and sets us apart from the pack, and that's an exciting thing to have all these people around. They wouldn't be involved if they didn't feel and believe in their heart that what we were going to do is not only go to the New York Stock Exchange, but sustain that growth for many years beyond that.
You know, and it's funny because I was involved in investor relations for many, many, many years, and I noticed you trade lightly, and that's basically by design.
Well, the way we're structured is back in March we did a massive filing to do a buyback, and then we restructured the shares. And the reason why is we don't want to be one of those companies with about 1 billion, 2 billion shares outstanding.
Terrible.
The key is when you look at value and you look at the way we're structured specifically for growth. We're structured specifically to build on our successes and not have investor relations firms that receive some stock, sell it in our face just because...
And kill your price, dilute it. Yeah, I know.
There's really no need for that. For us, we're a long-term strategist. You never want to have short-term focus with long-term goals. It's not a profitable equation. And the things that we're doing right now is obviously very exciting. And we're not here for the egos. I tell everyone that comes in and they see all the accolades that we've been able to achieve, and or me personally, and I say the egos checked at the door.
We said that today together, right?
Exactly.
Right like that on a deal we were trying to put together.
And the thing is, it's if it makes money, it makes sense to us, and that's all that matters.
You know, it's funny in my position. I've been around a lot of people. You know, I've been in business 35 years, and I'm well traveled. But I'll tell you the truth, I am so impressed. I haven't been this impressed in a long time. And you talk about somebody who was partners with Harry Helmsley and George Steinbrenner. And what I see is foundation in this company, which I haven't seen in a long time. And I'll tell you what, it's refreshing. I wish I was 20 years younger, to tell you the truth. But this old dog can still hunt. And I'll tell you something else. The foundation of a company is what's important today. You see it too many times. And like Thomas brought up with the IR firms, they'll bury you. In the long run, they will bury you, bury you, bury you. He's going through a controlled growth process right now. He's bringing in the best of the best, and eventually the dog is going to come out of that cage, and he is going to run. And I know that, and I feel it great, and it's great having you on. It's great working with you on this project. You know, sports has always been my game, and I do know that you're in the right spot in Oxford. No doubt in my mind, because I see with the NFL pouring billions of dollars into England right now. Billions, not millions, billions. I do know that eventually that country is going to get themselves their own NFL team. They'll have to put 2 in.
And the NBA as well.
And the NBA, which is important. And you're in the heart of basketball.
Exactly.
And that's the Mecca. Massachusetts is the Mecca of basketball. I mean, who doesn't like the Boston Celtics? I mean, you can go back forever. But we're going to talk more. We're going to bring you on next week. Now, you have a guest, a special guest up in New York, and we had problems with our phone lines today, and we couldn't bring him on. Give me a little bit about him so I can get him on here next week. And he's really got some guests coming on this show.
Well, Ray Larson is one of the best in the world at educating securities professionals. Him and his partner Teresa have done a tremendous job in building a network of some of the most powerful and influential securities professionals in the world that entrust them to educate them, get them the securities licenses, or prepare them to be as efficient as possible. I'm one of them, so I'm one of his former clients, and he's definitely at the peak of his career in being as knowledgeable and as experienced as anyone to know securities rules, regulations, and what the exams entail. And because of that, he's maneuvered his way to be known as a very influential individual, having some of the brightest minds and the most powerful people that come to him as an advisor to not only become more informed but more educated. And that's the key. A lot of people look at it as opportunities to just network and be around people that could potentially make them money, but realize knowledge is just as much as and just as powerful as anything, and I don't think you're going to find a more knowledgeable person than Ray Larson.
Well, we're looking forward to bringing him on the show. I want to thank you again, I mean, for the opportunity to be part of Oxford. I'm looking forward to going down the line. And if you want to get in touch with Thomas at all, if you have any questions, just log on to Oxford City Broadcasting. Contact information is there, and feel free to give him a call. And he is a CEO who will pick up the telephone, and he will talk to you. Thanks again, my friend.